Hello, how are you today? Glad to see you. Good to see you again. I'm Kathi Morrison, your certified life coach for the soul. And today I am continuing my series, The ABCs of Emotions. And we're discussing everything from A to Z pertaining and regarding to our emotions. So, welcome back. This is our third episode in the series, and this episode is entitled The J Word, Jealousy. I know that's something that we all don't like to think about or have to experience, and we definitely don't want to admit it if that's one of our issues or one of our damaging emotions or one of our negative emotions. So let's start by defining jealousy. Regardless of what you think jealousy is, or how you perceive it to be, or what you perceive it to be, we all have our variations of just what we think jealousy is about. But jealousy is to want something that someone else has or to feel threatened by what you have because someone else is that you think may be imposing on that relationship or that situation or that friend. But technically, jealousy is defined as to feel resentment, bitterness, or hostility towards someone because they have something that you don't, or something that you want. Um, it is sometimes used in the same context as envy, but there's a difference between being envious and being jealous. If you caught my first episode, you will recall that envy was the E word in this series, the ABCs of emotions. But today we're talking about jealousy. So let's start by talking about the difference between envy and jealousy. Envy means discontentment or longing for someone else's advantages. Jealousy means unpleasant suspicion, uh, apprehension, or rivalship. Uh, that is to be jealous of someone. Like I said, jealous because you believe, um, your spouse or your significant other is seeing someone else or someone else is seeing them or wants to see them. That's usually where jealousy comes in. It's more so pertaining to being jealous of something. So envy and jealousy is not the same. Envy can mean you wish you had something that someone else has. You're envious of their standing or their appearance. But jealousy is more so being jealous of something or someone or your spouse because you are threatened by another person, whether it be another woman or another man. Um, that's where jealousy normally comes in. And if you think you're jealous or you think you are or consider yourself or someone else thinks you are, there are some signs to determine whether or not you may or may not be jealous. You don't trust your partner, your boyfriend, girlfriend, when you're not together, when you're not in one another's presence. You have an anxiety about where they are or what they may be doing, especially when you don't know where they actually are or where they may be, or you suspect that they are not where they say they are during that time that you're not in their presence. You get concerned when that person brings up another woman's name, or your girlfriend brings up another man's name, whether it be a friend or someone they work with or someone that they are around often or they have to be around often, like a coworker. That's another example. Uh, some people check their social media or check their phone, and that is not a good habit to start. If you're dating or seeing someone or even married to someone that you have to constantly, check their phone and see who they're texting or see who's texting them, that is definitely a sign of not only jealousy, but a sign of mistrust. And whether or not that mistrust is warranted, as I guess an example would be they have given you a reason to mistrust them or a reason to believe that you can't trust them when they're not in your presence, and even when they are, that is definitely not a good sign of what I consider to be a healthy relationship. And another sign that you may be jealous is that you think that person is cheating on you. Now, if you have evidence in the past or present that they have cheated on you or that they are cheating on you, again, that's not a healthy relationship. And if that person is a consistent or serial cheater, then I would definitely reconsider whether or not, I would want to be in a relationship with such a person. Or if that person continues to want to be with you or say they want to be with you, then I also suggest that you have a serious conversation about boundaries, about what's offensive, what's inappropriate, when they're in the presence of someone of the opposite sex. You definitely want to make sure that they know their boundaries, and those boundaries should be made clear by you expressing to them how their behavior makes you feel, how their flirtatious behavior or something such as that makes you feel insecure or makes you feel threatened, even when you are not intending to be or want to be. And I can't think of any woman that wants to feel that or go through that type of negative emotion based on who they're dating or based on the character of who they're dating. So jealousy is not a fun emotion at all, and it's not an affectionate emotion that would, entice me to want to remain with such a person. So think about that if that is your situation. If you're in a situation where you're married to or dating someone that consistently disrespects you in a manner that causes you to feel threatened or jealous or insecure, then like I said, have a long talk with that person or even make a decision to no longer date a person that continues to disrespect you in that manner. And you don't want to be another sign of jealousy is, you get to the point where you attempt to control their behavior because of the jealousy that has been in the relationship or what has caused you to be in the relationship. If their behavior, like I said and mentioned just now, if their behavior is inappropriate, then that's definitely a discussion that you need to have with that person, with your love interest. You definitely have to have that talk. It's a hard talk to have. It's not something that you like admitting that you are a jealous person. But if they are triggering your jealousy or doing things to provoke your jealousy, then that definitely needs to be addressed, within the relationship. And sometimes a low self-esteem can provoke jealousy or make us feel jealous or threatened by other people. And we have to overcome low self-esteem and stop focusing on the things about us that we don't like or that we wish were another way, whether it's our appearance, our height, our weight, our success, our goals. You have to know within yourself that you are enough. Thinking that you're not enough, that you don't look good enough, or you don't, whatever the enough is that you feel is missing in your life that makes you have low self-esteem or makes you feel insecure, those things have to be addressed within. Insecurity is an inward emotion. So it's low self-esteem. You have to think highly of yourself or higher than what you currently think of yourself. So if you're insecure around other people or threatened by the presence of another person, it's always best to start within to address those issues within you that may have triggered those type of emotions or something that happened to you in a previous relationship that makes you feel those negative emotions about yourself. And you need to begin to speak positive things about yourself, things that are edifying, to lift you up, to you get to the point that you want to be, as far as your physical appearance, your facial appearance, anything that you can do to uplift your own self-esteem. You have to think positive about yourself and not feed yourself negative thoughts or negative talk or criticism or being critical of yourself that can trigger a low self-esteem. So that's something that we have to work on within as opposed to blaming those that are outside of us, outside of ourselves. No one can make us think or feel a certain way. That comes from within. So we can't blame others if we do have a low self-esteem or we feel insecure. We have to address those things as well. Now, if your love interest or your significant other are doing things that continue to make you feel insecure or threatened, or they are intentionally saying or doing things to make you jealous, then that's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother issue within itself. So, like I said, those things, need to be and must be addressed. I guess in order to know whether or not you're jealous, there are some things that show that you may be jealous. And like I said, I mentioned those things earlier. It could be your behavior or their behavior when you're around other people or when you're out socially. Again, you shouldn't have to check someone's phone or their text message or their messages they may have on their phone, vocal messages or text messages. That should not be something that you have to do or worry about. And there are ways to overcome jealousy, and that is the main thing. You want to address those things in you that make you feel that way. And so I have some notes here that I'm going to share with you, some suggestions that I believe would help you overcome that jealousy and also help you to look within and find those things that mainly trigger your jealousy. To start with, to help overcome and address your jealousy in the midst of it, when something has happened or been said or done that has triggered that jealousy, I would start by taking a deep breath. If you start to feel that way, take a few deep breaths to remain calm, to reduce the sudden anxiety or threat that you feel. Number two, don't stay on social media too much. I mean, don't be on their Facebook page looking for anything, searching for anything, trying to find some inappropriate comments from another person. Do not check to see whose page they have been on. Like I said, social media can trigger a lot of inappropriate behavior. So I would not necessarily try to manage or control their Facebook or their social media, their Instagram. I would definitely have that talk, but try not to find yourself feeling so jealous or insecure that you want to check and see who's on their page or what's on their page. And maybe agree between the both of you that you do not have social media if it comes to that, if they are unable to control their behavior or interaction with another person on social media, or if it's too tempting to them, then they need to think about withdrawing from that type of activity if it's going to cause problems, in your relationship. Another thing you can do is to avoid criticizing or using sarcasm. When you're feeling jealous, try not to make a comment that definitely expresses that. And I think as a woman, that's something that we would often resort to, in that moment when we're feeling threatened or uneasy. And it could be something that's happened to us before. We often think, oh gosh, it's just going to happen again. My last boyfriend cheated. All men are no good. And so when you feed yourself those kind of negative thoughts, you begin to believe them. And I hope that all men are not all alike. I know they're not, for one. So do not try to turn into a negative Nancy where you just think all men are no good. And so you automatically think if it happened before, it's going to happen again. So do not feed yourself those type of thoughts to prevent yourself from getting jealous in the moment. And if you are a jealous person, confess it to your spouse, to your boyfriend, your significant other. Let them know why you feel that way. And don't try to blame them if you feel that way. But if there is significant evidence that they have said or done something to trigger that emotion, then they definitely may not be the exact cause, but they are definitely a factor in how you feel. So start out by being open about it, transparent about it. Communication is always
the best thing to have in any relationship. And you should be close enough, open enough, and honest enough to share those inward thoughts and feelings when they occur, or even when they don't. I mean, it could be a method of, having a prevention of it by sharing with them what makes you feel that way, or what they are doing to cause you or to trigger those feelings in you of being jealous. The next thing I would say is uh, focus on what you have in common with the person you're jealous of. Not so much to uh, think that, oh, I'm just as good or I can be better, but just know that there are things about you that that person may not have, or could easily be jealous of. You have to focus on the positive things about you, not so much the positive things about that other person. And you may even find yourself complimenting that other person because the threat is gone, because you no longer feel threatened, because you feel that you are enough. Just tell yourself that every day, I am enough. That's an affirmation. It's a positive affirmation. And whatever positive affirmation or quote you can think of to combat that other opposite feeling of being insecure or jealous, or just having that low self-esteem, that's what you should practice. Practice saying those things that really are true, and those positive things that you want to become. Jealousy is a very unattractive emotion because of how it makes us feel inside and out. So again, practice positive affirmations about you, things that you do like about yourself, so that you will not get caught up in a negative self-talk every day or every time a threatening situation occurs, or a situation that you find yourself, being jealous. And another reason you should try to combat jealousy, or you have to identify the source of it. Is it something that did happen in your past? Is it something your spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend has done recently or before? And you have to find that source. And once you do that, you're really halfway there, because you have to ask yourself, is this a genuine source? Is this a reality, or is it just something that I'm imagining, or is it something that I'm paranoid about? You have to, like I said, look within. Always start within when you want to change something outward. You have to go there and see what causes you to think that way, feel that way, or even act that way. There's always a root, there's always a source, and the sooner you find that, the sooner you will be able to address it, because there's always a reason, and it may not necessarily be a motive, but there's definitely a cause behind the action. Every reaction had an action initially. And jealousy is something that is very common, but there are ways to overcome it. And one of the ways we can also overcome it is by acknowledging our jealousy. We have to be honest with ourselves before we can even expect anyone else to be honest with us. So start by acknowledging it and going from there. And then examine that jealousy. Is it just a thought? Is it just an insecurity I'm feeling at the time? Um, is it really happening, or am I being paranoid? Or is that person really a threat? And most likely they're not. And even if they're trying to be a threat, you do not have to allow them to be. You stand strong in your truth and in the person you are. And remember that you are enough. So do not allow that, or allow that person or anyone to make you feel threatened in any way in your relationship. And definitely not, within yourself. And consider the price of being jealous. It does have a price, like every emotion, good or bad. And one of the prices of being jealous, it can cost you the relationship. It can cost you a friend, cost you your peace, your peace of mind. So always consider what the cost is. And believe me, it's never worth it. So, try not to get caught up in anything that's going to take away from you and not add to you as a person and as a woman. Once you identify the source, you can ask yourself, is it really worth it to me? Is this relationship worth it? Is this person worth it? And most likely, they are not worth it if they're continuing to cause that type of friction and negativity in you or in your relationship. That's why it's best not to allow it from the beginning or in the middle or even in the end. And you have to let go of the past, because if you don't let go of the past, it won't allow you to live in the future, at least not a happy or peaceful future. There's no way it can happen if you continue to focus on the past. And I know that that's hard to do, but it's one of the obvious steps to take. We have to. But letting go of your past is a choice. And you have the power to make it happen. Just like you have the power to take the steps I've mentioned that I've shared with you today. It's definitely worth it, because your self-worth, your self-esteem, all of that begins with self. So begin to look inward and help improve your own way of thinking, your state of mind, your mindset. And hopefully that will help you to become better than you are today and in the future. So start to reflect on your own strengths. Instead of looking around you, always look within, like I said. Compile a list of things that you like about yourself. And you may be amazed at how long that list will be if you stop focusing on the negative things about you and start focusing on the positive. Repeat those positive affirmations about yourself, and I'm sure you will find yourself feeling more positive about yourself, and you will not be as easily distracted by any type of threat or perceived threat or any type of jealous action. So start small, start with short-term goals. Try not to think in that direction or have thoughts in that direction that cause you to feel insecure or to make you focus on having a low self-esteem, because you really don't have to have a low self-esteem. We all have qualities and characteristics and positive things about ourselves that we may not have noticed or even forgotten about, because we're so focused on the negative things about us. So remember, jealousy is something that we all experience. It's something that we all are able to feel, because it's natural to feel that way when you care about someone or love someone that you believe you are going to lose, or for some reason you feel like you're not worthy of them, or maybe they don't give you the the place in their life that you believe you should have, as far as their time, their energy, their effort, their attention. So be careful of who you choose to become, acquainted with or in a relation with, if you don't believe that that person values you as a person. And the value has to start within. Your self-worth is worth much more than settling for something or someone that does not add to your life but only takes away from you, whether it's emotionally, physically, or any other way. You want to be with someone that values you, that values the relationship, and that values how you feel and your concerns. And when you share those concerns, I hope that you're able to communicate to your significant other in a way that they will be able to have compassion, understanding, and be able to, be willing to address those concerns in a positive way that leads to a long-term understanding relationship. So thank you for joining me today to discuss jealousy. It's a common emotion, and it can be a negative emotion, but you don't have to allow it to be. Always consider the positive about yourself. And believe me, no one is worthy of jealousy. No matter how they look or what they have, your self-worth is more valuable to you, even when someone else doesn't value it. Do not wait on anyone else to value you. the more you value yourself, the more you understand and realize that there is nothing to be jealous of in anyone or of anyone. Thank you for joining me today on Life Coach for the Soul. Again, you're always welcome. You're always welcome to view my podcast, my YouTube channel, Life Coach for the Soul, Facebook, and Instagram. Thank you. God bless.